Escaped inmate Casey White was brought back to Alabama late Tuesday night for his first court appearance since he was captured following a car chase in Evansville, Indiana, Monday. At the arraignment, Judge Ben Graves informed Casey that he will be charged with escape in the first degree in addition to capital murder charges that he was already facing relating the 2015 death of Connie Ridgway. He was escorted to the courthouse in a caravan of armored vehicles, and he arrived shortly before 11 p.m. He entered the courthouse in handcuffs and with shackles around his ankles and briefly met with his attorney before he entered the courtroom. Throughout the entire hearing, Casey listened intently with his eyes locked on the judge as he was explained the charges. He did appear to be tired, and he sniffled more than one time throughout the 10-minute hearing. On the back of his head, 4 small gashes could be seen within the shaved areas of hair the size of a quarter. Dry blood was still visible on the back of his bright yellow jumpsuit. Immediately following the hearing, Casey exited the courthouse and glanced at the news cameras and the crowd of bystanders who had gathered. He did not say anything. He will now be transferred to the Donaldson Correctional Facility in Bessemer, Alabama, a little more than 100 miles south of Lauderdale County. Casey and Vicky were captured Monday after a car chase which ended when authorities forced the car that Casey was driving to wreck into a ditch. Now, it was first reported that Vicky was the driver of the vehicle, but now they are saying that it was actually Casey that was the driver of the vehicle. Vicky was transported to the hospital where she later passed away from her injuries. Okay, there has been some newly released police dash cam and body cam video that shows the moments after the car chase ended and Casey was arrested. Officers also attempting to pull Vicky, who was injured, from the car. You can see those videos here. In the video, several officers can be seen surrounding Casey, who is pinned to the ground next to the car. Casey is then taken into custody and led away from the wrecked vehicle. Authorities were not immediately able to pull Vicky from the car because she appeared to still have a weapon in her hand, and according to officers seen in the body camera video, who also noted that she was still breathing. This crash actually ended an 11-day manhunt that spanned through multiple states. There was hundreds of tips given, including one that ultimately led authorities to their capture. Before Casey's escape, he was being held at the Lauderdale County Detention Center. He was facing capital murder charges related to the stabbing death of Connie Ridgway. Vicky White worked there as the Assistant Director of Corrections. Connie Ridgway's son, Austin Williams, sat in the first row of the courtroom during Tuesday night's court appearance within 10 feet of Casey. Now, earlier before this arraignment, Connie's son did say that Casey being captured was a huge relief and it felt like an actual miracle. Casey allegedly confessed to killing Connie Ridgway in 2020, but later he pled not guilty by reason of insanity and he was brought to the Lauderdale County to attend court hearings in the case. He was already being held in a state prison on a 75-year sentence for a series of other crimes that were committed in 2015. These included a home invasion, carjackings, and a police chase. It is believed that Casey and Vicky met at the jail as early as 2020. Now, this is what the Lauderdale County Sheriff, Rick Singleton, said. Casey's murder trial is currently set for June, and during Tuesday's court appearance, Casey's attorney, Jamie Paz, said that he would be filing a change of venue motion, and the judge did say that he would consider it. Now, in the beginning, it was said that Casey and Vicky had like a special relationship. They was romantic in nature, sort of like Casey received privileges like extra food at the detention center because of Vicky White. But over the course of the investigation, authorities increasingly started to believe that Vicky White willingly helped the inmate escape. After the two were captured, authorities found supplies that may have allowed them to be on the run for much longer. Authorities found wigs, $29,000 in cash, and several weapons among their possessions, including like 4 handguns. There was an AR-15 rifle, 3 magazines. Before their escape, Vicky sold her house for well below market value, and she announced her plans to retire. Though her last day of work was set for April the 29th, the day that they escaped, her retirement paperwork had not been finalized. Officials have said that Vicky was a veteran officer and she used her years of experience to plan and execute the escape, saying that she was basically the mastermind behind the whole plan. This is what Sheriff Singleton said Tuesday. He also went on to say that Casey didn't actually escape from the facility. He was basically just let out. The crash Monday actually marked the end of an 11-day ordeal that began when Vicky White checked the inmate out of the jail the morning of April the 29th. And she had said that she was taking him to the courthouse for a mental evaluation, but they never arrived. Instead, they went to a shopping center parking lot. They ditched the correction officer's patrol vehicle, and from there they took off in a 2007 Ford Edge SUV that Vicky had bought under an alias name and parked in the lot the night before. This SUV was found in a tow lot in Williamson County, Tennessee. This was on Friday. It was about 2 hours north of the jail in Florence. The sheriff says that the pair most likely abandoned it hours after they left Florence, possibly due to some mechanical issues. And while they were still in Tennessee, they purchased a Ford F-150 pickup. Now, it is believed that they had been in Evansville, Indiana since at least May the 2nd. That is when a police officer checked the license plate of the truck. At the time, the check did not flag any connection between the truck and the fugitives. But then U.S. Marshals learned Sunday that the truck had been abandoned at an Evansville car wash. So on Monday, U.S. Marshals released surveillance images that showed who investigators believed to be Casey White at the car wash. Later, investigators confirmed that the pair left the car wash in a Cadillac. An Evansville police officer reported Monday that the Cadillac was parked in a motel parking lot, and officers began conducting surveillance on the motel. Now, as officers were conducting the surveillance at the motel, Vicky and Casey White exited. They got into the Cadillac and they drove away. Then officers followed them and a car chase ensued. It ended when authorities forced the fugitives to wreck into a ditch. As Casey was being apprehended at the scene, he could be heard saying, "Please help my wife." Okay, other reports goes on to say that Casey also said that his wife had shot herself in the head. Okay, let it be known and noted that Casey and Vicky White were not married to anyone's knowledge, even investigators. But he was saying, "Help my wife." Now, I have to say, I heard that clearly. I heard him say that twice clearly. But I have yet to hear him say that she shot herself in the head, as has been reported. I have not heard that. If you have heard them say that and not just, it being reported he said that, please send me that footage. Because I have yet to hear him say that she did that to herself. And this is sort of a little visual of their timeline and what we have tracked down that they did within the last 11 days. I have a lot of questions about this case. As most of you know, I have been covering it, putting out, what I can find on it as quickly as I can get my hands on it. I try to get it straight out to you guys. I do have a lot of questions. They had $29,000 left. They were gone for 11 days. We know she had at least $90,000 to $95,000 on her. That's not even counting if she had other money aside from the sale of her home, which she well could have had because, they said she was very frugal and she had saved her entire life for her retirement and things of that nature. So it's very possible that she had more than the $95,000 from the sale of her home. I'm not even sure how I feel about it at this point. I agree with the sheriff. I don't really see how they can get a quote-unquote escape charge on him, although that is the only thing he was charged with extra tonight on top of his already 75-year sentence was first-degree escape. But as the sheriff himself stated, he didn't actually escape. He was actually just let out of jail by one of the department's employees. So see, there's just so many things with this case, and that is just a tiny of the questions I have. Another question I have is, where's all the money? How did they spend, like I just said earlier, she could have had more than $95,000 on her in cash. And within 11 days, and many people are saying, well, she bought 3 vehicles. Well, still, she was buying used vehicles. And I know the car market is very much up at this point. I do know that because I just bought a vehicle myself. So I'm well aware of that. I think it would be relatively easy to find out what she paid for them. And just to be quite honest, I don't see maybe $30,000. Okay, on the vehicles. And I get that gas is very expensive right now, and she had a 2-week stay at this motel already prepaid. But look at the motel. I mean, come on, y'all. This is one of those motels that people usually live in. It's one of those kind of situations. We have them here, and normally you pay by week instead of by day at these places like this. So, I don't see $60,000. I don't see how they burned through that in that amount of time. There was no drugs found whatsoever. In her autopsy, there was no mention of any sort of drugs in her system. As far as him, I'm sure they did drug test him, but there's been no mention of any drug usage. I said that there was no drugs or any paraphernalias or anything like that found in the motel or in the vehicle. So as I get more information, I will let you know. But as of right now, it sounds like that Casey has probably already been sent back to Douglas Prison, which is in Bessemer, Alabama, which is the prison that he was trying so relentlessly to get out of, and he did by making the confession of Miss Ridgway. That is another thing I have about this case. That confession, I question that as well. So we'll just have to see. We'll stay on top of it. We'll keep looking into it. Maybe now I'm going to have time to sit back and look at some backgroundage on all of this, her, him, and what the situation was with Miss Ridgway exactly, why someone would do that to her. So yeah, okay guys, have a great day, night, evening, wherever you may be, and until next time, this is UnJustified.